Guys, welcome to the James Bond Show. I'm your host, Krazy Kajeevie, with no fears, limits, or substitutes. The bad boy of James Bond, telling it how it is. Guys, okay, so I've decided today I'm going to do this show on a retort to Joe Darlington over at Being James Bond. Not a bad James Bond channel. If you like to see a fat guy hang gliding, superimposed probably behind a green screen or in front of a green screen, or doing a bungee jump where they have to use double titanium steel infused rope just to hold the big fatty so he doesn't fall down and splatter the dam. But Big Joe over there, he is a passionate man, and he's passionately come out and not even using the name of the James Bond Show or my name. He has come out and he's done an angry Craggy Craig on me, and he's blasted the James Bond Show. Of course, he hasn't named me by name or the show because he's too gutless that people are going to come over here and see the truth. Or he's just too gutless, to be honest, and say who it was. But I will show you guys what he said about me in this channel, and then I'm going to explain the details. Now, basically, he attacked me because I decided to do, 2 days after it was dropped all over the internet, that, and spoiler warnings, guys, Joe, don't take the straitjacket off, Joe. It's okay. Spoiler warning alert for you, Joe, just so you don't get all snowflaked up and angry. So basically, these articles that came out said that James Bond was going to be a dad in No Time to Die, the ultimate cuckolding, and he was going to die. Now, I have been predicting all that, especially James Bond would be killed off and the franchise would be given to Noomy Larry Lunchbox Lynch 007, and big old Joe and his shillbean mates basically laughed at me, mocked me, ridiculed me, and oh, he's just negative and he's bad. No, guys, no. See, the thing is, guys, I guess having all this around me, you know, in rooms filled with James Bond stuff, you know, isn't proof and testament to the fact that I am a real James Bond fan. But according to Big Joe, Big Angry Dopey Joe, Captain Mumbler that just waffles, apparently I'm not a real fan. Now let's have a look at what Big Joe had to say about all this, and particularly moi. Okay, so if you're watching a YouTube, he's talking to you guys, okay? If you're watching a YouTube creator who puts the spoilers in his headlines and on his thumbnail, you're following the wrong people. From now on, guys, it's not Krazy Kajeevie, it's wrong person, okay? That's just awful. So that's what he says. You're following the wrong people. That's just awful. Now, I'll tell you what's awful. Awful is rape. Awful is pedophilia. Awful is murder. Awful is being a George Floyd cop, sticking your knee into that guy while he's trying to breathe. Or maybe getting in your car when you're absolutely blind, blotto, drunk, smashed, and then crashing into people and nearly killing people. That's what I reckon is awful. Not someone who honestly puts in the titles the headlines of the subject matter that the video is actually about. And the title of my video that I did the other day was an amalgamation of the articles. So I just took those words and put them into the headline. My job isn't to give everyone out there spoiler free, because you've got to remember, I'll do my best if I'm giving something, if it's, say for example, a specific plot point or whatever, I'm not going to just burst out a spoiler. I've seen the film, I'm going to spoil the film for you. That's not what I'm about. But when the video is on that, and we need a rise up, we need people to rise up, an uprising against what they're doing to characters, Ghostbusters, Star Wars, James Bond, Doctor Who, Star Trek, what they're trying to do to every film character. They're trying to emasculate men, and they're trying to bring in the wow men, the big wow men, and get rid of the bad guys, because men are bad, women are good, and they are hijacking our franchises and series. Then someone needs to stand up about it. Now, recently I've been doing videos on how fantastic, you know, James Bond villains, James Bond soundtracks. I've been trying to do the happy stuff, but since the channel is called the James Bond Show, I also have to report the facts and news out there. And what I do is I actually put my opinion to it. I don't give an opinion and then 30 seconds later, like Big Joe and his shillbean mates do, and then completely go the other way. I mean, that is double-edged. That is a double-edged tongue. Even the Bible speaks about people and not to trust them that have double-edged tongues. Okay, so let's keep going. It's one thing to be critical and have concerns about where the franchise is going. I can totally understand that. But, I mean, there are just people who criticize and still call themselves fans. I mean, if you're married and you tell people, oh, I love my wife, but I criticize her constantly because I want her to be the best her, yeah, that's just not gonna fly. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work that way. So, if you're just relentlessly critical and negative of James Bond, sorry, he repeats himself here, so I've just written him out word for word. I'm sorry, but you're not a fan. That's ridiculous. Okay, so if I constantly criticize horrible decisions that are destroying what I love and what you love, if I'm constantly attacking the fact that Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the greatest feminist on the planet today, is brought in to write a James Bond film, then I'm negative and I'm not a real Bond fan. If I attack the fact that James Bond's sacred 007 number is going to be given to Nomi, a transgender-looking black woman, then I'm negative. If Madeline won't take Bond's name, and I report that, then I'm negative. Kerry Fukunaga comes out the other week in an article I did a video on, and he admits that Barbara Broccoli has been pushing the feminism into Bond since Goldeneye, and she has admitted to him she's trying to push the feminism. I reported that. So that means I'm negative. I'm constantly negative. No, Joe. What I'm doing, Joe, is I'm reporting the absolute rape and demolition of the character that you say you love. And you have sat there on your fat wop ass pretending you're James Bond, going and doing your bungee jumping where they probably have to use double reinforced titanium steel under rope to hold your big blubby butt so you don't go splat on the concrete below. Or you're hang gliding. Far out. I hate to see the size of that hang glider. But Joe, that's not negative and critical. This is me being honest and trying to save the franchise I love. And if you and your little buddies Zashitsky at the infomercial experience stop crapping on about all of our brown fluffy blue Goldfinger Bond pants and you weird little gay ties and putting your Christmas lists together, you know, and your shameless plugging, your shameless advertising of products, then I wouldn't have to come along and say to people like you, because shameless plugging and advertising is terrible. Now I'm going to get back to you in a second after this swilling chug of this fine Heineken beer for you, Joe. Oh, and I'm not about to jump in a car after. That is a cold, refreshing drop. Okay, guys, let's get back into this, because this is gold. Okay, so having said that, this is a whole different level. I mean, this is just someone shouting out the punchline when you start telling a joke. So apparently me revealing stuff in my headline, I've come into a stand-up comedy act, I've committed the ultimate sin, and I've yelled out the punchline. Oh, yeah, not quite, Joe. Sorry, Joe, that's not gonna fly. All right, let's get going. So it's just ridiculous. It's an assault. It's an assault on the fans, pure and simple. It's an insult on the fans. So don't tell me you're a Bond fan if you're passing this stuff around. So if I pass around articles that are already all over the media, all over Facebook, all over social media for 2 days before I even got to it because I was too busy working, if I pass those around, I'm not a real Bond fan. Now wait till you hear where this is going, because you can't even make this up. This is great. Okay, so if you're making this very public and sharing it for people, you're not a fan. Okay. So yeah, it is. Wait till you hear this, guys. So after he's just said, if you share around about the spoilers or discuss them, you're not a fan. And then, I kid you not, he said, these are the next words out of his mouth. This is what I mean about this clown being snake tongue, double pitchfork tongue. This is what he says. So yeah, it is what it is. So I guess now I'll move on to the spoilers part. You can't make it up. So this guy has condemned me without naming the name of the show, but we all know it's me. And then he's gone on to say, oh, I guess it is what it is, so now I'll move on to the spoiler part. Then he continues the rest of his video. I won't go into it all, but then he discusses all these spoilers. Now, I will read you a bit of what he said. Okay, now if you go to 9 minutes 48 into this incredible video by Joe Darlington, he says, I said to myself, am I going to do a video on this? Well, now, oh, hang on, got to read. Sorry guys, again, don't have my glasses. Am I going to do a video on this? Well, how can I not? So how can I not do a video on this? I mean, it's the biggest news to happen to Bond in quite a while. So Joe condemns me for doing a video on it and putting obvious with exclamation mark in my video headline, James Bond to die, exclamation mark, and is a daddy, exclamation mark, right? Then he turns around and says he has to do a video on it. He has to discuss the spoilers because it's the biggest stuff to happen in Bond, well, since Bond 25, No Time to Die, got postponed to November. If that's not a hypocrite, what is? Joe Darlington, you are an absolute condescending fool and a complete hypocrite. Let's keep going. Okay? So he says already it's the biggest story for a while and he's got to talk about it. And again, I hate being down and negative about what's happening or what we can look forward to. If there's any silver lining, again, Bond will continue. Now this part here, what I haven't included here, prior to this, there's about a 5-minute period in his video where Darlington talks about Bond basically being over. And they can't reboot it, they can't do this, and they won't reboot it, blah, blah, blah. So he goes on this big tangent, and he's famous for big tangents. He goes on this big tangent to say that basically it's done because of this reason, that reason. Go look at it for yourself. Then he completely contradicts himself and says, but if there's any silver lining, again, Bond will continue somehow, some way. So you've just completely contradicted everything you previously said in your video, Joe. Maybe this long run of 25 films as sort of the conclusion of what started with Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman. Maybe that era of Bond is over, but I think Bond is going to go on. Yeah, and then he talks about going on in streaming services and stuff like that. Okay, Joe, let's get to the absolute facts of things here, big old buddy. Let's get to the facts of things. First of all, like I've said many times, you can't have all this stuff around you and have room full of James Bond stuff if you don't love the character of James Bond and you're not a real fan. I've only got about probably 20 different James Bond shirts, movie shirts, etc. And I've got, like I said, rooms filled with stuff that if you walked in here, your tongue would explode and it would blow your mind what I have in here. Now go and tell my family, my brothers, my sisters and my mother that I'm not a real James Bond fan. And why? You guys have hidden behind your little videos, hidden behind this fake positivity thing. From James Bond radio, the infomercial experience, and you at being James Bond. And the others aren't even, apart from Calvin Dyson, who, again, I really enjoy his content, and I'm sure Calvin will end up doing a video when he has time, in the spoilers as well. But no one else is even putting content out. Where are the others? Where are the others putting out content on this? And now I cannot wait. I bet you any money one of the only decent James Bond channels out there that actually holds it right up to Eon is Haphazard Stuff, John at Haphazard Stuff, and I do really enjoy his work. And I bet you any money, John at Haphazard will grab onto this and he will shake the foundations and he will mock and ridicule Eon for making James Bond a dad. I can't wait to see it. I bet you Haphazard will incorporate clips or something of 3 Men and a Baby, and he'll probably superimpose the heads of Nomi and Miss Moneypenny and Madeline all on, and they're holding a little baby. He'll probably do something like that. And you know what? I hope he does. Guys, wake up. They are killing James Bond off. The James Bond show here, if you guys go back and look at the history of my videos, you will see that I told you that all this was going to happen for an agenda. Now I'm getting mocked and criticized. No, Joe, you know what the real truth is, Joe? You were just pissed because you realized I was right. You realized the James Bond show has been right. And hundreds and thousands of fans out there that love James Bond, that are writing in all the comment section of so many different YouTube channels, not your cuckold lefty buddy channels, but the real film channels out there that are pissed with all this raping and pillaging of male characters like they did with Luke Skywalker, putting Rey in instead. Now they're doing that. And they're probably going to do James Bond Jr. Barbara Broccoli's now got her excuse to do female James Bond. Now it's going to be a female, and it's literally going to be a Bond. So now Barbara Broccoli in what, 10, 20 years can do that? Not that... You know, the fact is, no one's going to go and see it. And if Nomi has her own series, Larry Lunchbox Lynch has a series as Nomi, no one's going to go and see it. Stealing Ben Whishaw, QM, Moneypenny, no one's going to see it. It's going to tank. And after about 2 weeks at the cinema, when this film comes out, this film is going to die a horrible death when you include the £18 million that they wasted on Danny Boyle, John Hodges' John Hodges' script, what they had to pay him, the set designs they even did ones in Canada, and what they built and did, and all the rental of Pinewood Studios. Okay, when you factor in that money, then £30 million for advertising, then a budget of what is it, £197 million for this film. And you then kill off the lead character, James Bond, that we love, and you then hand it to Nomi. It is a disgrace. It is an absolute disgrace. And I hope they do reboot, and there's, you know, even Joe in his video talks about maybe they'll sell it. Well, how are you going to feel, Joe, if they sell it to Disney? Guys, that's all I got time for today. Please think about this, big old Joe, and I'll accept your apology sometime soon. Because I was right. Just admit I was right, Big Joe. James Bond fan. James Bond show here. Loves James Bond. Till next time, Joe. Keep on bonding and say hi to your beer for me. And here's some special makeup for all you man babies by OPI. Get yours now.